Hello again, YouTube, and today, in this video, that subwoofer is going to become one with my Camaro. And of course, before we get started on anything electrical, make sure that your battery is unplugged. So the first step is to take out your radio and get behind it. And if you've been following my videos, then you'll know exactly how to do that. But if you don't, right there is a link to pretty much how to do all of this, how to take it apart, install a new radio. I've got a bunch of different videos, but I'll pop something up there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out the screws for the bezel, and then the screws on the side of it, and just take this whole thing out. This is the kit that I'm going to be using for the install. These things are awesome. Boss makes these. Like everything else, I'll go ahead and put it in the description so you can get it. This one is a 4 gauge, but it comes with everything. It comes with the RCA cables, the positive, the ground, a whole bunch of the little connectors, just a fuse. It comes with everything you need, and it's pretty cheap for what it is. So this is what I'm going to be using just for reference. And here's the RCA cables that come with it. So you need to get one end of it. It doesn't matter which one you choose because they're both the same on the inside, as long as you remember to connect it properly once you get the amp. So if you want to use this one as left or this one as right, or if you think of it positive, negative, whatever you use as your mindset, make sure you remember it on the other side. But for this one, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so this is the back of my radio, and as you can see on here, I have a front and a rear, left and right. So I'm going to use the white cable on my RCA, this one, to go into the white, and I'm going to use the red with the purple, just because white goes in white and it's easier to work it that way. So I'm going to put these into the rears because my subwoofer is going to be in the rear. Now that that's plugged in, I can put my radio back. I'm going to put in all this RCA cable in here, and I'm going to route it underneath this whole console to the back, because right here in the back is where I'm going to put the whole box, but I still have to attach the amp to the box, so it's not back there yet. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shove everything back here and then route it underneath here, and it's going to pop out right in the back. And if you do want to do that, it's really easy to tuck because you can just put your fingers under here. If not, then it's super easy. Just take out these bolts. I should have one up here, but you just take out these screws up here and just lift this up. It's much easier that way. Just finished up routing it. All I did was pop the wires underneath here, because you can easily stick your fingers up in there and pop something through. So pop that through, connected it to the back, and then routed it. You can see under here where that actual center console begins. It's really easy to just tuck it underneath there so it's inside the console. And I've got it sticking out here in the back. It just comes underneath that. So it'll just come straight up here to where my subs are going to be. And these are the two subs that I'm going to put in. They're just 2 little 10s. They're actually pretty decent. So to power these, I'm using the Planet Audio. It's a 4-channel, but bridged. It works perfectly with these two. And I'll pop that down in the description if you guys want to check that out. So that's the next thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to grab this out of the box and I'm going to mount it on top. And this is what I have so far. I just mounted my amp on top, and I have the left speaker and the right speaker here. It's enclosed, so there's little tabs on the side that go positive and negative. And then I have them set up here for channel 1 and 2, 3 and 4, since this is 4. Everyone's is going to be a little bit different when it comes to that and how it's bridged, or if you need to bridge the actual subwoofers. A lot is going to be different based on how many ohms this is, and how many ohms that your amp pushes out, and how many channels your amp pushes out. So there's a bunch of different diagrams on how to wire it based on how many ohms and how many channels you have. So that's kind of iffy on yours, but after you get done connecting that, we're gonna go and pretty much get everything ready to be put into the car if it's not already in your car. And we're gonna set up the RCAs on the side, and then we're gonna set up the positive, or the power, the negative, and then the remote. Before you put your radio back in, make sure that you put in your remote turn on for your amp. Now this is what's used to turn on your amplifier whenever your radio is on. Depending on your head unit, you could have power antenna. If you do have just power antenna, that usually sends a 12-volt current, which will work as your remote if you splice it into it. But if you actually do have a power antenna, then you will have power antenna that will only work when your radio is running, but once you switch it to CD or auxiliary or something like that, it'll turn off. So the best way to do this is to find the wire that gives you your accessory. So whenever you turn your key to accessory or the on position, it sends a signal saying, hey, this is on. So if you find your accessory wire, splice into that and splice the wire into it and run it to your amplifier. That's all you need. Okay, now that I ran that single wire into my accessory, I have it spliced in with all of the ones that are in here. Now that I have that in there, I'm going to run it through the same route that I did my RCA cable, so underneath here and back to the amp. So for the ground, what I've done is on the driver's side speaker, back behind there where you have a screw that's going in, I connected one end there. I used one of the little eyelets that they gave with the package, and I routed it up through here, and it's going to connect into the amp. Last but not least is the power. So what we need to do is grab an eyelet. There are two different ones. There's one that has a really big hole in the eye, and the other one just has a normal one. The really big one is the one for your battery terminal. So you can pop that on underneath or above your normal battery terminal, and that'll work. So first thing we need to do is attach this to the battery, and then from the battery you have to find a way to route it into the car and to your actual amp. And also in there we do have the fuse that I'll also be installing. So I put the eyelet on and I screwed it back into place. I still have the negative taken off, so no harm there. Now we have to take this whole thing and route it up into the inside of the car. So what we're doing for routing is we're going to go from here, we're going to route it to the side, up, and we're going to go right in here where your wiring harness already is going through. It's going to go through this hole, which will bring it into your quarter panel up here in the front, right behind your wheel well inside. And you'll be able to get to it if you just come around and open up your door. Right inside here, if you open it up, I've got mine pushed through, but you'll be able to grab it through here. Once you have it through here, you can pop off this rubber grommet and feed it to the inside. Once you have it through the inside, you'll be able to route it through here and under the carpet or just under the paneling or however permanent you want to do, and it leads right to the back where the subwoofers are. And here it is routed down, and I just tucked it underneath the plastic bezel underneath. So now it's routed to the back up here, and all I need to do now is plug it in the side. And finally, before we put it in, we've got to make sure we get this fuse in. So all you have to do for this is twist off the end. And once the end is off, then these little pieces in here, a little Allen head, will loosen that up. See, there's the screw inside there. It'll open it up so you can put a stripped end. I haven't stripped this one yet, but a stripped end into there. Then you're going to tighten it up and make sure this cap is on. Just finished putting both sides in, You do have to cut it, obviously, but they make it pretty easy to put these in. All you have to do is screw these off. And it has a little rubber grommet at the end. And then, like I said, you just tighten that down. And also, another thing you can do is you can take out the whole piece. This part has the fuse attached to it, and the other side is just a small end. So that's another way you can do it. And finally, I got everything put back together. I got the bezel and everything put back together on here. I hooked my battery back up, and in here in the back, I've got my RCA cables like they were. I've got, for right now, because I don't have a splitter, I've got both my speakers hooked up to just one channel, actually 2 channels bridged, and up here the power cable with the fuse, the ground cable, which also has a little red sleeve on it, and of course the remote. So now let's hear how it works.
Turn down for what?